So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are today opening the Spring Call 2026 from the cluster CELTIC-NEXT. This is just an online launch event. There will be another event end of January, but I will come back to this. I will introduce you first what is CELTIC-NEXT, where it is located, meaning in the global picture of innovation and funding. Then I will explain you the new SRIA, so Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. And then I will go to a second presentation explaining you the tooling, also what we are expecting for a good proposal, and then where you can put your ideas if you want already to share in advance your ideas, or your profiles if you want to propose your competences. CELTIC-NEXT is the Eureka ICT cluster for a secure, trusted, and sustainable digital society. So Eureka. So we are belonging to a program. We are 5 clusters, and we belong to Eureka. The Eureka network is the world's biggest or largest public network, over 46 countries, including most countries of Europe, plus Brazil, Canada, Chile, Israel, Singapore, South Africa, and South Korea. And the list will be increasing because there is always new candidates who want to join the network. It's an international research, development, and innovation collaboration that enables Eureka countries to tackle global challenges and increase competitiveness. And it's a transnational network facilitating the coordination of national priorities in innovation and providing access to national funding. This is not the European Commission. Very important. This is independent from the European Commission. Since 1985, so 40 years this year, the network has co-financed 48 plus billion euro public-private investment, around 50% of it. More than 7,000 R&D and I projects, and more than 35,000 organizations were supported or have been supported. Eureka programs, you have the 4 in the top, Eurostars, wide investment readiness and fast track. These ones are cooperations with the Commission. So the Commission is topping up those programs with some money. They are targeting mainly SMEs and smaller budgets. And then the second group, which contains the Eureka clusters, the network projects, and the global stars, they are more thematic oriented. They offer flexibility, and they are of a larger size. And the clusters are doing the largest projects in Eureka. So just to position us clusters in the program, the global program from Eureka, you see that we are very important in terms of participants and volume of effort and budgets. What are the clusters? They are industry-led communities consisting of leading companies, knowledge institutes, and end-user organizations. We have strategic technology areas, and we are very much market-oriented, aiming at solving economic, technological, and societal challenges and large mid-sized projects. So CELTIC-NEXT is the world industry-driven Eureka Clusters program, ICT, so Information and Communications Technology, not-for-profit cluster. And we involve most of the ecosystem in terms of variety of entities as well as number of participants. Where are we located in the global picture? You have on the right side the national programs. They are developing and maintaining critical mass and differentiation in their respective countries. This is where you find also the current 6G sovereign platforms, like in Germany with 6G platform or 6G flagship, in another country 6G bridge, in Finland, and the future network services in Netherlands. On the opposite side, on the left side, you have a European Commission's program, where you have top-down program following European strategy. And examples of this is the European Space Agency or the CGSNS together with the SNSIs. The clusters program from Eureka is sitting in between because this is a transnational program following national priorities, and CELTIC is exactly at that position in the ICT domain. So since 2003, we have done a lot. We are focused on next generation communications for a digital society. We have a community of more than 1,250 public and private entities, including industry leaders, SMEs, and research type organizations and academia. We have two project calls per year, one in spring, one in autumn, and we are supported by public and private funding for transnational R&D and I cooperation. Better to say you are supported, and we are helping in you getting this support. Open to any organization contributing to European and global ICT, because Eureka is larger than Europe, and our vision and mission is to foster Eureka collaborative R&D and I program in ICT tech community, accelerate the deployment and uptake of advanced ICT services, and employ the new network concepts of 5G and beyond, and lead to the innovation, ownership, and implementation of 6G in Eureka countries. When you visit our website, you see those KPIs. I won't go through them too much, just to say that until now, we have reached something like 200 projects, even more, and over 1.4 billion euro co-investment in CELTIC. We have events like brokerage events or awards and so on. We got renewed, so we are not, how to say, operating ad vitam aeternam without being checked. So the Eureka network has checked us again, and this is, sorry, I had to mute someone. The Eureka network has renewed our license to operate in July this year for the next 7 years, with 31 countries voting for supporting CELTIC-NEXT. What we do? We do bottom-up projects. This means that we are looking at your priorities. You tell us what you want to do. Of course, it has to be linked to our program, but you are selecting your topic, and there is no numerous clause in any of the technologies or application fields and so on. So we have bottom-up calls, as we said, 2 per year, one in spring, one in autumn. We do also something special in our cluster compared to our colleagues from the other clusters. We do flagship projects and open calls. These are larger projects, and I will explain that later on in this presentation. And they are more prepared together between the industry and the public authorities. And finally, because clusters can wait, we have the Eureka Clusters program joint calls between the clusters. So what we offer opportunities to get funded for a transnational R&D and I consortium, access to the best companies and knowledge institutes through our database, projects initiated by industry in line with national priorities, and global and trusted cooperation in the communities and support of experts with an industrial viewpoint. So what we do is not just organizing calls. We are also monitoring, reviewing, and coaching projects. We are not leading the projects, but we are helping the project leads to achieve their goals with a consortia. And we do 2 reviews of a project or more, depending on the duration of the project. But for a standard life of 2 to 3 years, there's one at midterm, so 1.5 years, and then a final review. And we assess where the project stands at the midterm review, and if it has troubles, we help solving them. And you see that from the assessment of the projects at midterm, where you had improvement required for 17% and strong improvement needed 5%, so 22%. who was not performing, were not performing. The final review after the intervention of our experts on the office to help you was making the improvement that were needed available, and then you can see that everyone finally got a good note, an acceptable 6%, then good and 45%, and excellent 49%. All of this work, of course, has a cost. So we have expenses. We have to pay the office staff, including travel, daily operational management, travel costs for experts, call events, marketing and dissemination, IT tooling and hosting. So we are providing also tools and so on. And this is not covered by any public funding nor by private funding. So we are not financed from anything else than fees of 1.5% of eligible budget that we draw from successful projects. So the community, so we have a core group, which is like a board of directors in companies, made of very well-known companies. They oversee our cluster SRIA program and operations, and they are part of the community of 1,250 plus members across 43 countries who participated already to CELTIC in the past. So CELTIC since 2003, and this means that each time that a participant is successful in a project, is part of a community and gets information and can contribute to CELTIC in different ways. There's a new SRIA. That's not the final look and feel of the document. It is still in review. It will be provided next week, Monday, so in 1 week from now, officially published. So the one on the website currently is the previous one from 2021 to 2025. There are new things, of course, in the new SRIA. We try to be quite responsive to the community and to the global market orientations in ICT. So you will find new thematics in this SRIA compared with the previous one. We are not working in isolation, and including for elaborating the SRIA and working on the calls. We have an MOU with the CGIA Association, and we have an MOE, Memorandum of Intent, with the European Space Agency that enables us to exchange knowledge and do cross contributions to SRIAs, leveraging funding schemes across TRLs and topics, because some of the funding schemes from the different organizations and access of those organizations represent the funding for different TRL levels and even market readiness levels, MRLs. We are looking at trying to make our call timing aligned and have an easier pipelining of proposals, and help entities to go from research to market with increase of TRLs, having early adopters, test beds, and so on. And we try to offer the full panel between top-down programs like the 6G SNS and bottom-up spaces from CELTIC. This is how we collaborate in elaborating the SRIA. Okay, this one is very large slide, sorry, but I won't go to the details. Main information is that our DNA is around bottom up, so you are free to define your project proposal according to your own research interest. We are close to market, so projects that were done under the umbrella of CELTIC have led to 1,500 more improved products or new products and services. We expect that results of a project of 3 years, for example, shall be part of products and services or being themselves completely products and services 3 years after the end of a project. So 6 years after your application, we want to see results on the market. It has a high success rate because we don't have those numerous clauses. It's only the quality of your proposal which makes the difference in being selected, and flexibility. The project focus can be adjusted to new technological developments in the field. That's another advantage. We are very flexible. We work in an agile way. If something happens during the lifetime of your project, then you can proceed to changes, and this is called the project change request mechanism, where you can ask us if we agree in changing part of a project, like participants experimenting a new technology, changing a little bit the focus, and so on. So we are very flexible with that. On the right side, sorry, a lot of text. It's the list of advantages for the different entities, being SMEs or large corporates or and so on. So I won't go through that now. We don't have the time for such a long discourse. We are in CELTIC-NEXT in Eureka. I said the network itself is, you can look at it on the screen. I think there's even a new map now, but more to say, it's in large sense Europe plus UK, Canada, Chile, South Korea, South Africa, Singapore, and Brazil. And there will be new countries in the future. The network, the 46, 48 countries are looking to have more corporations, and they are experimenting first those corporations with special calls. And once the country that is targeted is proven to be a future good member, then this country is invited to apply to join the network. The Spring Call 2026 is supported by countries officially. So you have a list on the screen. Sweden, which was not in the Autumn Call because Sweden is supports only the Spring Call as of today. But this is the list for the official participations. Some countries don't, don't expose their support in such a strong way, but it is always possible to ask the local representative for Eureka /Celtic if the project is of interest for this country and if there would be some, let's say, ad hoc funding available. So this is not because the country is not listed here, but there's no solution. But please contact the country representatives that are listed on our website and tell us before you apply, because it's no point to write an application if you are not supported at all, and specifically for the lead entity country. That is important, because if a lead is not supported, of course, the project cannot start. So please contact us and contact them in the country. The list is on our website. So we have a call process and timelines. We have 2 calls per year, the spring and the autumn call. All of this information is available on our website. The dates for the spring call, the remarkable dates for the spring call 2026 are today with the opening of the call, the launch event that we are doing right now, and there will be a proposers brokerage day on the 30th of January 2026 in Vienna, Austria. So please look at the registration link on internet. We hope to see you there in physical presence, because there is a brokerage possibility, meaning a B2B matching and working with people on site on your IDs, and possibly emerge a new consortium and so on. And people can pitch. I will come back to the details a little bit later on. The deadline of this call is for the 24th of April 2026, and the label notification June 2026. You don't receive funding directly from Celtic, you receive a label of quality of your project, and with this label of quality, you apply nationally to the different schemes where your consortium is located in which countries, and you get to know from the public authorities which national competition you have, or competition or funding scheme you have to apply to. So this is the same information, a bit more detailed. And very, very important message here. Please contact the public authorities as soon as you can if you intend to position yourself on the spring call, because they can tell you what is the best agenda, meaning when the funding calls or schemes will be opened and in their country, and what would be the conditions? Because of course, it's an international cooperation based on national priorities and funding schemes. This means you can work internationally, but you still have to fulfill the national rules. So it's better to ask them for the national rules and prepare a proposal that contains also the information towards the national authorities. So what is a typical bottom-up call project? So if we looked at partners, we are looking at kind of 4 to 15 partners, typical. And what type? Large industry, SMEs, RTOs, so research type organizations, academia, public bodies. Leading the consortium is only for large industry, SMEs, and RTO. Some exceptions can be done with academia when they have a strong, let's say, consortium of the industry around them. What is now the number of countries? There's a rule in Eureka that a Eureka project must have 2 Eureka countries involved. So this means that if one of the 2 Eureka countries is not funding your project, you cannot run the project. So this is why we do more than 2 Eureka countries. And there's an additional information here. You can have 2 Eureka countries and an additional country which is not from Eureka, but the rule stays the same. If one of the Eureka countries disappears, your project will not be eligible for the labeling, for the label, and then for the funding. So it's always better to have 3 Eureka countries in your project, and then you can add whatever you want, countries that are not in the network or countries that are in the network. So typically a bottom-up project, which we call mid-size, is covering 3 to 7 countries, and this is recommended minimum 3. On the terms of market and technology, we want to see in the project, in the consortium, the coverage of all partners that are building the end-to-end technology chain, and but also the market value chain, because they are very near to market projects. It's of course better if you have the end customer in your project, meaning not the whole end customers, of course, but an early adopter customer who is happy to provide requirements, but also happy to test the results of the projects during the project life. And this is also important to understand that we look at the access to market for the participants of the project. So our experts are looking if you can reach the market with your ID. No technology push with no channel towards the market. Now, budget and duration. Budget, we expect usually 3 to 15 million euro joint investment, so between public and private budgets, and duration 24 to 48 months with a 36 months typical duration. So this is what we call a bottom-up project. So we have a new SRIA. This is brand new. So we had the new one in 2021. And it was the origin of CELTIC. It was called the Purple Book. Now it's called SRIA as an alignment with usual terminology. in the community. So we are looking at having a comprehensive roadmap for Eureka countries' leadership in ICT beyond 6G itself, expanding to vertical industry sectors. That's very important. So it's not because we are an ICT cluster that we are looking exclusively at ICT technologies. We are looking at applied ICT technologies as well. So to the verticals. We build on CELTIC's holistic bottom-up approach, considering the European 6G vision from the 6G IA. As said, we have an agreement, SNSD, SRIA, and vendor perspectives in a topical and over time technology readiness level and market readiness level staged manner. And I have put here MRL, so market readiness level, because we are pushing the TRL to the upper level, but it's important to have the end customer and looking at if the MRL, the market readiness level, will be also augmented by the project. So key messages from the SRIA. So AI native networks must be designed from inception. So really now AI has to be in it. Networks shall use AI, but also provide services to others industries' AI applications in a mutually beneficial collaboration. So it's AI for ICT and ICT for AI. Sustainability and energy efficiency must be both system intrinsic properties and societal enablers. Beyond communication services, like sensing, positioning, computing will define 6G, supporting the always increasing convergence of digital, physical, and biological worlds. Human-centered, and of course, we need to bring all of those three domains together. So Eureka country sovereignty in ICT value chains is critical. We see it with the current events or since the beginning of certain events, and the societal responsibility has to be embedded with ethics, privacy, inclusion, trust. So in the document you will see there are paragraphs and descriptions from those high-level perspectives of the CELTIC program on an end-to-end connectivity on networks, the digital transformation of vertical sectors. So how ICT is helping other vertical sectors of an industry and the society to develop and deploy their own roadmaps. Advance at ICT technologies, and I will make a kind of zoom on this part, and then sustainability and societal impact. That's very important, and how to have that in the innovation ecosystem, because it's important to animate this ecosystem. So we are looking at those spectrum and wireless technologies. We need to explore and harmonize new spectrum bands, including the sub-terahertz and optical frequencies. There's a development of advanced radio technologies for ultra-high capacity and reliability. Now, AI native networks. The integration of AI and machine learning at every layer of a network stack for adaptive self-optimizing systems, including in the radio access networks with AI RAN. That's an important topic. Research into explainable and trustworthy AI in network management and orchestration. This is very important as well, because you cannot delegate everything to any AI, if we call it AI, artificial intelligence, and you are not able to explain and to find the root causes anymore, because you cannot trace back why the AI reacted that way. So we need to invest a lot of time and energy in this as well. Network architecture and edge computing. So we need to design decentralized cloud-native architectures with seamless edge to core integrations. Cloud Continuum, for example, support of ultra-dense networks and multi-access edge computing. On the topic of security, privacy, and trust, we need to develop end-to-end security frameworks, zero trust models, and quantum-resistant cryptography. This is also a big topic. Privacy-preserving mechanisms for data and AI-driven applications. On the side of the sustainability and energy efficiency, we need innovative approaches to reduce the network energy consumption and enable circular economy principles. The introduction of AI on our layers will, of course, increase the demand of energy. So we need to balance that with some improvement in other fields. And we need to put some research effort into the combination of materials, hardware, and software for green communications. Finally, the integration with vertical industries. We need tailored solutions for sectors such as healthcare, manufacturing, transportation, agriculture, and the list is not exhaustive here, of course. And we need to co-design network capabilities with industry-specific requirements. This is also important. And Celtic is a good place to do that because we are looking at consortia that include the end user. So if you have several use cases in your consortium proposal, then we expect to see the corresponding end users for each of the use cases. This is very detailed. I might not go into all those details now, but let's say that we try also to articulate those SRIA topics into several levels. The first level is high-level fields of application. So it's not really the verticals as such, but what could be the applications that could emerge from those developments? So we have human-centered technologies and services for an augmented life experience. So this contains digital divide elimination, which could itself include the digital support for inclusive education, including remote education, smart regions, cities, buildings, homes, so that everything becomes smarter and helps people. Also, for example, with disabilities or the normal standard person who wants to have the best experience possible. Smart transportation and logistics would be there as well. Smart tourism, sustainability and efficiency of smart energy grids. That's also important. We have a problem with energy generation. If you look at the idea of going to electric cars full, you will need to generate energy sufficiently. And at the same time, you want to decarbonize your energy production. That means that you have to deploy renewable energy. This means not anymore big centers of production, but a distributed grid. And this means that you have to accompany this production with a controlled software like SCADA and so on. So you need to have sustainability and efficiency in smart energy grids. Public safety and crowd control. This is very important. E-health, so electronic health and care. Also for elderlies, if we can keep them in their life, for example, at home, technology can support that. Users in control and trust of offered services. We need to give back to the users the full control and trust in their services. And this is something that is raising a lot. We need some digital media, gaming, sports, culture, and entertainment. This has always been linked to ICT. It's still the case, of course. And then remote and nomadic working, so the digital nomad support. And possibly this is also linked to what we have experienced with COVID, that we were not ready to have this kind of nomadicity whereby we were at home, but this was a reverse model as all the people go to their companies or workplaces. So full industrial digitization, I spend more time on this field of applications because it's to give you some ideas of end user and use cases and participants. The ICT technologies themselves, I will not spend as much time because you will have those slides. So for full industrial digitization and support of vertical industries, as said, so digital enterprises, private networks, and non-public networks for smart manufacturing, Industry 5.0, smart logistics, geolocation, IoT networks, smart agriculture, future financial and fintech, ICT support for to third-party AI-based application, au pluriel in French, a connectivity grid and telecom infrastructure as the fourth utility, like the energy, the roads, and so on. So then sustainable, sovereign, secure, futuristic use cases, two examples, holographic teleportation for meetings or whatever. This is a long-term discussion, but this becomes quite reasonably possible. And then world real-time synchronous digital twin, this is a high-level target so that we can model our environment and how it is working to improve it as much as possible. And this is also targeting sustainability, digital divide, energy consumption, and so on. So the second level of information in the SRIA that is addressed in the SRIA is the main technical areas of research. I will just go through the top level topics. So ubiquity and pervasiveness. So we have been developing new networks, but each time we have a problem of coverage and availability. So this has to disappear. Because if vertical industries have to rely on ICT technologies and networks, and I mean really wireless mainly, we need to make those networks pervasive. Ubiquity is not something that you can ignore anymore. So when you turn around a building, you should not lose your network. Or you enter the building, you should not lose your connectivity. Otherwise, none of the use cases of vertical industries will be really supported. So dynamic capacity following people's seamless mobility, that's nearly part of pervasiveness, but it's more linked to the capacity in the network, meaning that how do we manage resources in a good way, and the different integration of network domains together. Then automation, reliability, transparency, cognitive operations. Those networks have become already too complex to be managed by humans. So we have started already to put some machine learning, to put some automatization and so on, but this needs to go to the next level. And we need also, for some services, to have deterministic networking. So that means that we need to be able to predict the network availability, capacity, and so on, so that we can assure SLAs from vertical industry use cases. Sustainability, protection, and trust. Sustainability in terms of, let's say, carbon footprint, have how to say, a good cycle management, better than today, where we need to replace everything all the time. Then we have cybersecurity, including post-quantum cybersecurity. That's of utmost importance, and especially in those times of strong attacks from let's say hackers, but also some political problems. Without naming them, identity management, so that we don't need to enter a user password again everywhere, but that we are in control of our identity management still. And it is well protected. And then system sustainability and efficiency, this is also very important. Then holographic transportation and real-time synchronous digital twin. This is the technologies we need there is to have an holographic media teleport, multi-sense networks, time-engineered applications, and integrated sensing and communications. So then the third level, and here I will really not go through details, but we are looking at 5G, beyond 5G, 6G technologies, but larger than that, any connectivity and communication system, wired and wireless industrial ICT, which are a little bit different from the large public networks, ICT critical infrastructure as a utility, the critical connectivity grid. This needs also some fundamental work and technical work to be applied to those real life cases. Space dimension enabled, 5G beyond 5G, 6G, because we see that if we want to have pervasiveness and continuity of services, we need now to address the third dimension, so the vertical dimension. So there is also a list of things here, including also the coexistence with other systems that are using this space, and this means avionics communications. This is at the bottom of this list here. Distributed and partner networks. So this is a base that we need to enable all of the rest of the roadmap. So we need to have distributed and smarter networks. And you find some of the underlying technologies needs, enabling technologies. So as a conclusion for this part, you are encouraged to join the CELTIC-NEXT community and apply to this transnational funding to help you in the next steps of the development of your innovations, technologies, and products and services, and through that competition, and if you are successful, you get a recognized international label to your innovation. There are also awards for the best of the projects that are really a good help in getting funding, not only from public authorities, but also from private investors. Don't be restrained to specific limits to your innovation project. We are bottom up, we are not top down. So we are not prescribing any number of projects for this technology. So please feel completely free to make your proposal. Get a larger visibility for collaborations. We touch our mailing list touch something like 3,500 professionals of ICT and vertical fields. So you have access to that if you are part of a community. You gain commercialization channels, mixing large industry SMEs and RTOs in near-to-market innovation collaborations. It's also valid for academics who are doing more applied research. For some of them, accelerate your time to market by increasing your TRLs/MRLs. I should have put also MRL here in a near-to-market funding scheme, and then collaborate easily outside of Europe. So if you take commissions programs, the list of external countries is restricted, and what the participants from those countries can do is also very restricted. Here you have a chance that you have a network of 48 countries who have already agreed to work together. So it's really an improvement. So thanks. Just to announce it already, we have this brokerage day on the 30th of January 2026 in Vienna. This is where you can pitch your UID, meet potential partners or additional partners, depending on the maturation or maturity of your ID and your consortium. The proposed brokerage days, how they are usually done. There's a first part, like a mini conference with some keynotes and some roundtables. Then there's a pitching session where you can pitch your ID or your competence. And then there's a brokerage and networking forum in physical presence. And for those who have pitched their IDs, there is an additional session organized after the brokerage day, organized by my colleague Christiane Reinsch, where she enables you to have online sessions with people interested in your ID who have signalized their interest, and everything is prepared before the brokerage day. You are providing a poster, a short presentation of your ID, then proposed dates and times for having your consortium building session, which is the name of those online events. Okay, so the proposed brokerage day will be on the 30th of January in Vienna, and it is supported by FFG, which is the innovation agency in Austria and supported financially by the CG SNS IA. Okay, with that one, I am done for this presentation. I can have a look to some of your questions in the chat. Let's say 5 minutes. Audrey, if you can tell me what are...
Yes. It was mainly funding question. So the first one was, is it eligible for Swiss institution also? So
So the Switzerland is not currently funding Eureka clusters. So there's no official funding available. In case you really want to do a project, you can always participate as self-funded. This means that you don't get public funding. I know that is not the best, but if your project is of that importance and you want to benefit from the rest of the possibilities of our call and collaborating internationally, you can participate self-funded. You can contact me and I might contact the Swiss authority to check with them, but probability is very low that you get funded.
second question was just, it was a remark of a Polish-Italian SME stating their interest, so I shared them about the brokerage too. Then we
I will explain the brokerage tool and what is a good proposal and so on in the second part. So
yeah, and then we had a question about Ukrainian companies also, if they have any support, and I also share a contact.
Yes, so Ukraine is supported. And as I wrote, there are fees to be paid by participants in projects. But for Ukrainian companies and entities, we have said that we are not asking fees to be paid by those participants because of their current situation. We are in war. It would not be very moral to ask them to pay for something. So that's our little contribution to the effort.
Thank you. And I believe this is all.
This is all. Okay, then I will just give me a sec. I will then change to the next. Now this part of a launch event is about, okay, how you prepare a proposal and how you can use our brokerage tool. With the years, we have accumulated a very good experience with what is a good and successful proposal. And those recommendations that you will see here are both coming from the office itself of Celtic, but also from reviewers and participants who were successful. So there are some messages that are directly coming from the community. So the basics. You should, of course, target the scope of a strategic roadmap 2026-2032. And again, I'm sorry, it will be published on the 8th of December. So you have to wait 1 week before you can read the new strategic roadmap. We are finalizing it and making the beauty work on it. And you will be able to download it starting the 8th of December. It has to have a technological innovation. It has to be new, innovative, forward-bringing project for the community, and the community on the large sense, not only the ICT community itself, but the community, the society. The market relevance and exploitation potential. So it must return value for money to the consortium. Of course, you are doing work, but for nothing, and you invest in this project yourself. So you want to have a return on investment. But also for the funding countries. We want to see how much their participation into your project, their public funding, was helping you generating new revenues or increasing your staff, and there are, let's say, some monitoring aspects behind that. And fourth, follow the rules of the right mix and balance of participating countries and partners. So you have to create a good consortium, balanced, having different countries and company profiles. A remark, it's not a national project with some links abroad, but a true international balanced cooperation, ideally with no more than 60% and never over 75% of effort and or budget in one country only. And this is also applicable for one partner. So if you have a partner who is in several countries or in, and he is gathering together more than 60 and or even 75% of the total effort and or budget, then the project is not eligible. You have to target the scope of the strategic roadmap. So just one moment. Oh, sorry. I should have edited this one. Sorry, it's 2026, 2032. You will see when you position your application in our portal, you are asked to select items that you are covering with your proposal. Major and minor topics from our taxonomy, which is a list of technologies and application fields and so on. So you have to select up to 5 major and up to 5 minor topics. And this has two reasons. So it's a way to control for us that you are in our focus before even we read your application. And secondly, the tool itself will use this information to match your proposal with the best experts to review your proposal. So that there's an automation behind looking at having the best experts looking for your proposal. And it takes also into account conflict of interest, not having people reviewing your proposal that are of your companies or competition and so on. So that's an important topic, and you have to cover our SRIA. If your project is about something that is different from our SRIA, you have to pick up the very next topics to your own topic and indicate in your text that okay, you are not covered in the SRIA, but you think that it is still interesting the community, and we will look at it in the same way with a great interest, because we are not omniscient and we might have forgotten one topic or not aware of one topic that you are researching on. So technological innovation, the innovation above the state of the art is a key criterion. So lots of criticism, so that's at the bottom, but I want to start with it. 50% of the criticism of our experts during the proposal evaluation is related to the lack of state-of-the-art description. Not sufficient or absent. Absent is, of course, a showstopper, and not sufficient can be a showstopper, but we can give you the opportunity to make it better. But of course, the best for us is when you do it seriously and exhaustively at the proposal deadline already. We need to see the rationale for the project. Why is the subject of the proposed project important? Which problems will be solved and which results will be generated that are currently not available? So the state-of-the-art situation describes the current technological situation, the current problems and gaps, and indicate the technological improvements that you want to achieve. The technological innovation and strategic relevance, the strategic relevance and expected impact of your proposal on a per country perspective, what new businesses will be generated. That's important as well. We want to see the international collaboration, but we want also to see what is the local impact in your respective countries. And that's important for the public authorities to support your proposal, because very often they are looking, of course, that you are helping them if they help you. So this is very important. The market relevance and exploitation potential. So the market analysis has to be supported by the technology value chain and added value of a collaboration. So you need to explain why you have the best technological value chain supported, but also the market value chain. So you need a right mix of partners in the consortium, an added value for cooperation at technology level, but moreover, an added value of a cooperation at business level. Consortium partners' access to the market or their markets is very important. These are key aspects to motivate PAs, so public authorities, to fund your project. We need to see that it's not a technology push from someone who has a good idea, but really no idea how to get to the market. So we need to see that you have a corresponding, let's say, people, entities that are able to open up the market for the result of the project. So key points. These are says from experts and from participants. So your CELTIC project should be successful and beneficial, and it must be managed and controlled properly in order to achieve this. So translated into more formal language, give confidence to the experts and public funders that you will be in control of the project, so that the invested money will not be wasted and that your plan is well thought through and that you are confident that you will deliver by the end of the project. So it should be used as a tool to develop your business if the project scope is aligned with your strategies and future plans. However, it may take some time to reach commercial success. So you need to provide a clear outlook on your commercialization plan per product/partner and as a whole consortium or solution. So you need really to show that you are targeting commercialization and you are not doing just research for research, but you are targeting a market. So the best practices that help to carry out the project activities properly are based on the commitment of a consortium from the beginning to the end of the project. So you need to build a strong and committed consortium. That's very, very important, and show clearly its commitment in the proposal. So what we have sometimes is a good proposal written by only one hand or two hands of one people. We want to see that the consortium has really worked on the proposal together and has co-written the proposal. Of course, you can have one person writing, but we need to see the the interaction between the companies in the descriptions of the tasks, the work packages, who will work with whom, on what, how is it interconnected with the rest of the consortium and deliverables and so on. That's very important. So the success of the project relies on the three actions: deliverables, dissemination, and exploitation of project activities. So you need to write a good proposal, not only research, but also business impact, exploitation plan, and dissemination, coordination, and work package structure. And finally, be aware that there may be changes in the project consortium, activities, funding, and so on, that might affect the initial plans, called the project description, initial project description. So provide a well-described risk analysis section. Of course, it's difficult to preclude all potential risks, but make your best possible analysis here. So you have templates and guidelines on our website. If you go to guides, contracts, templates, there are plenty of information there. There is, if you follow my mouse, guidelines. You have a proposals guide, a very lightweighted one. There's another one which is larger. And then you have the documents that are serving for the midterm assessment and the final assessment, which will give you an idea about what we are looking at during the life of a project. You have the confirmation letter. This is the fact that you are accepting the conditions of the competition and including paying the fees once you are successfully active in the project. Then we provide a template for a project cooperation agreement. We have an NDA for proposers. The CFA, the frame agreement, is the base, the legal base of the cluster itself. And for people who are coming self-funded, there's a self-funding declaration letter. So you have to submit your proposal. By the 24th of April 2026, you have to register to the cluster's project tools, tool, fill in the web forms, download the proposal templates for your proposal, and upload your proposal to the cluster's project. Okay, it looks like this. Of course, it will not be the 2023, it will be 2026/1. And you can click on submit. You select your open call, 2026/1 for the spring call 2026. And you start filling in your information into the tool. And you have to upload your CPP file that you will have downloaded before and filled in with requested information. Okay, now that was submitting your proposal. Now, how is your proposal evaluated? So we are using a list of criteria like the excellence and technological innovation, the strategic relevance and impact, the potential for exploitation and of the results and future business, the quality and efficiency of the implementation of the project proposal, the quality of the proposed consortium. And for each of those high-level sections, there are sub-questions and evaluation points that our experts will fill in based on your proposal. And then they make a recommendation if your proposal is suitable for labeling, or if it needs modifications, or if it's not suitable for labeling. So in case of suitable for labeling, you will receive a letter from us telling you that your project is labeled fully. You might receive still some recommendations. Let's say it's not strong recommendations, but proposals for improvements that you might implement, but you are not forced to implement those ones because you got labeled fully. Then you might get this M status, modifications required, and this means that your proposal is really interesting, is good, but there are caveats that need to be solved before we give you the full label. And usually we give, depending on the complexity of the needed corrections, we give you between 1 and 2 months to come back with a reviewed application. And based on your new application or your improved application, we will give you the suitable for label or the label, let's say, or not label. And then we will tell you if we recommend you to reapply in the next call. So knowing that we have a call every 6 months. Most of our experts are coming from the industry. They provide their industry know-how to the proposals. They are signing NDAs, individual NDAs. They are not paid, so they are not doing that on a payroll base. They do that either because they are employees from the core group members, you remember those companies who are in the board of CELTIC, or because they were or they applied to be experts to CELTIC, and they are just very interested to stay in touch, to see possibly also if they could join some projects with their own companies and so on. So there is let's say, a community of experts who are providing a very independent view on the project. Sometimes they are quite, let's say, direct in what they say in their evaluations, but this is always to be seen as a positive feedback to improve your application. I mean, when you are a modification required or not suitable for labeling, then invited to be to apply again. The label decision is based on technical quality, business relevance, but also national priorities where they exist. Maybe one point here, the label decision is not just made by our experts. It is important to know that we meet with the public authorities representatives in a so-called labeling meeting that happens between 6 and 8 weeks after the deadline of the competition, the closure of the competition. Those 6-8 weeks are given to enable our experts, but also public authorities experts to review your proposals. And then we sit together and we reach a consensus decision on giving the label or label with modifications or not labeling your proposal. Okay, when you get your full label, either directly or after 2 months with the right improvements for a label with modifications, you have to start the project. For this, as said, you go with your label to the national funding schemes, you apply there, and you have to convince, and it is helped, of course, by the fact that you got the label, your national authority to fund your project. So the funding is granted by ministries or funding agencies of the participating countries. Projects can usually start when mandatory partners have green light for funding. So that means you don't need to wait until all partners are funded to start the project. What is more important is that the project lead is funded, of course, are ready to work at risk until he's getting funded. And also that a critical mass of a project is reached in terms of funding, but also tasks that can be achieved in the beginning of a project. So looking at your Gantt diagram, can you start most of the things that should be started at the beginning of a project with people who have received positive funding agreements, and you can then work until the others are joining once they get funded. This is usually what happens. And it's a discussion between the project officer on our side and the project lead. If we declare the project started, if we allow it to start, and so on. So in the last years, a successful success rate for running projects of more than 50% has been achieved. And then a partner becomes active in a running project. When he becomes active, then he will have to pay the contribution to CELTIC of 1.5% of his eligible budget. So this is the base for starting the project. So sorry, this slide should have been before. As said, I explained already all of this. Our core group members might also give their opinion in this labeling meeting. So now, there's a brokerage tool. So this brokerage tool is on the same platform that our website, and it's proposing you to upload your project ID. There's one part. Share your expertise, or search for partners to collaborate with or look for an existing project ID. So you have one is providing an input to the tool, and the second part is looking for information in the tool. This is administered by the office. If you want to upload your project ID in advance to the meetings, and then if you want to be seen by the community, you put your ID there. There are standard fields to be filled in. We review that. If we find that it is not, let's say, corresponding to what we are expecting as a project ID description, then we come back to you and we ask you to update it. And then when we validate, we publish it, and it is visible in the search engines from our tool. So that's for the project ID. You can also submit your expertise. You don't have a project, but you want to be in a project, and you can describe your organization, yourself, what you are looking for in terms of projects. And then people who are building consortia can search for you in our tool. So the fields tagged with this asterisk are mandatory. The proposal keywords field is implemented using a taxonomy from field class, which allows easy update of the keyword list, such as renaming, deletion, or addition of keywords. Identity management field determines whether name, telephone, and company name are shown in the project ID overview list or search result. The type of organization and country are always shown because this is important to understand for other people where you are located. And the email address is never shown. So people can contact you through the interface, but they don't get directly your details. After submission of the certificate, we check and publish your project ID or expertise. Then you have the pendant features, which is partner search. Nothing special here. Search for, and you put your what you are looking for, the type of organization you look, or the country in where you need partners, and expertise keywords. Same applies for project IDs. So that's more or less all. Oh, I'm in advance. I can answer questions. Thank you for listening to this long discourse.
Thank you, Xavier. We didn't have way more question. We had a question for Belgium company.
Yeah.
Where Belgium company were funded. What was the situation here?
Okay, so Belgium has not. I need to explain better here. When we renewed the license, all the clusters renewed the licenses, and countries were able, but not forced, to put their official support in form of a support form. So the countries that are listed on the slide are those ones who have said that they support Celtic in those forms. But there are more countries supporting Celtic than those ones with the forms. But Belgium is one of them who did not provide a support form, but those support clusters projects. So their contact is on our web page for contacts and funding schemes, and you can contact. Belgium is a special case because there are 3 regions, 3 agencies, one in Flanders, one in Brussels itself, and one in Wallonia. You can contact them and they will tell you if they are happy to support your project, your proposal there, and with which regional scheme in terms of Belgium they are able to help you. But we have very often projects with Belgium.
So I share with them the link of the Belgium contacts that we have on our dedicated page, and then we just have a last question, like, will this PowerPoint be available anywhere? So I say yes, that it will be published on even.
I will just correct a little typo that I've seen, and like the SRIA dates 2021, 2025 into 26, 20 and 32. And then it will be put on the web as well as the recording.
Maybe I'm gonna let people unmute themselves, but I saw in the meantime that we had a last question. Is Egypt now an associate country for Tourism Europe? Any info about they joining Eureka too?
So we can have Egypt, there's no problem. I have to check for the contact with Egypt because we haven't had recently a project with them, but Egypt is welcomed as long as you have 2 other countries of the network in your proposal.
All right, I give the attendee the right to unmute, so do not hesitate if you have questions or to type them in the chat. New question. I presume the UK is still not allowed to take part. UK is member.
UK is part of the network, and
It's already part of it.
UK is discussing the renewal of their funding capabilities for Eureka currently. So there's no definitive answer for UK right now. So the best is to contact Ben Morris. His contact details are listed, and he will indicate UK participants when and what kind of support they can get from Innovate UK. Okay. So if we don't have more questions, I think we can close the call. And you are always welcome to address us your questions to our email office@celticnext.eu, and we will answer you.
Yeah.
And thank you for the thanks I have seen rapidly.
Great.
Our job is really to help you to get your international consortium up and running. So that's really what we are looking for. So thanks a lot, and talk to you soon. Hoping also to see you in Austria, in Vienna, end of January for meeting in person. It will be a great day there. So please don't hesitate to register and to come to us. The event itself is free of charge. You just need to care for your travel costs. Thank you.